I think that may be Sir David King, the former chief scientist. Hi, Sir David, do come in.
One of the frighteners about all of this is that as we warm up, ice on land is melting. That ice has to go somewhere. It goes into the oceans eventually. Ocean levels go up. So if we just melt all the ice on Greenland, ocean levels would go up 6.5 meters, more than 20 feet. And if we melt all of the ice on the Antarctic, it'll go up 100 meters. London goes underwater long, long before then. Right, so we're so used to the fact that over the last... Yeah.
What's the time span on that? I mean, you're talking another million years, another 60 million years. Are you talking my lifetime? Are you talking my son's lifetime, my grandchildren's lifetime? Where is the...
That's such a good question. So normally, the Ice Age to warm period timescale is measured in roughly tens of thousands of years. But because our carbon dioxide levels have gone up so quickly, just over 100 years, we've gone up from 270 to 389 parts per million. Remember that in the last 3 million years, it's never been more than 270 before, never been more than 270. We're already at 389. It'll take the planet about 30 years to catch up with that change. So the next 30 years of climate change is in the pipeline, whatever we do now. Then after that, it all depends on our behavior now. If the carbon dioxide levels go on going up, by the end of the century, we're going to see a very significant change. And I do think it's your... How are you? You're a young person. It's your children and my grandchildren we have to worry about.
Somebody was asking questions about the emails from East Anglia. Yeah. That was you, wasn't it?
Yes. I mean, I've always really believed in climate change and been an advocate of trying to stop global warming, but then these emails come out and I think, okay, it sounds like something's been exaggerated, it sounds like things have been held back from the public, and this sense of distrust has me concerned.
And by the way, that is exactly the object that the hackers had in getting into the emails. Remember that these emails go back to 1998, so they've been accumulating them, and they've just released them in the week before Copenhagen.
Yeah, but that doesn't take away from the fact.
No, let me come to the fact. Let me come to the fact. I just wanted to... This is very important.
No, I know.
I mean, I recognize that.
The strategy of these people who are hacking is important. Let me also make this allegation for the first time in public. It's an extraordinarily sophisticated piece of work to hack into all of these emails and mobile phone conversations, right? What agencies have got the sophistication to manage that? I leave you to think about that.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of data supporting climate change still, but what I don't like is the fact that the media hasn't seemed to really gone in and investigated what do these emails say. The scientists haven't come back with some kind of unified front of this isn't true or some sort of argument. I don't like the lack of response. That's what makes me distrustful.
What she's saying is, why isn't the scientific community coming together and saying that kind of behaviour is disgraceful, that's not scientific behaviour? So would you say here now that you think that the sort of things they were talking about in the email, the not publishing data sets, trying to suppress freedom of information requests, tricks to...
Unacceptable. All of that is unacceptable.
It's no comment.
So,
anytime you get a no comment kind of response, you think,
okay,
okay, no comment.
No, but hold on.
David is saying...
Let me say it as clearly as I can. That sort of behaviour is totally unacceptable. When I was Chief Scientific Advisor, put out a universal ethical code for all scientists to follow. 3 R's: rigour, respect, responsibility.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you there. Now, you've had the opportunity to see some of the science presented to you by Maggie and to talk through some of the science with Sir David. So thank you very much, both of you, for coming round to my house to do this, this presentation. But the question is, how persuasive have you found it? Well, the scientists have gone home now, but I've forced all my other guests to stay here. So that was the question. How persuasive did you find their presentation? Anybody want to say, Philip? Yeah, you were quite sceptical to start off, weren't you?
Yeah, I was, Justin. But I mean, having seen what we saw today, I'd be an idiot if I didn't agree. I totally now believe it's a fact. I totally believe that I'm responsible, we're responsible. But the question for me is, what's the best thing to do about it? Because so many people have got different solutions. You know, what do you do next?
Yeah. I mean, anybody else? Was everybody persuaded by it? Or does anybody still have doubts?
I thought it was persuasive.
You thought it was
I
good
was already persuaded,
demonstration?
but I thought it was persuasive.
Now, you at the back, you... Go on.
I'm still sceptical about it.
Why? What did you find unconvincing about what the scientists presented to us today?
Well, nothing that the scientists presented. I just think it's an historical thing and it'll just keep going on and we're not going to be able to do much to stop it. I mean, I try and live a green life, but what difference am I making? Just
as an individual. So it's not that you
one
doubt the
person.
science, it's much more you doubt the ability of us all as individuals to make a difference and
well, no,
change.
I think historically it is going to be...
I think that's your... Is that your position as well? Because you...
Well, I think that Dr. King's arguments were very compelling, but I think the scientific case would be enhanced with more detailed explanation of the scientific facts.
What do you mean? What are you getting at? What's wrong with the explanation that you heard?
Well, a lot of the CO2 increase that we've seen is due to natural phenomena, not just man-made CO2. The man-made CO2 component is certainly very worrying and certainly growing, but I think if more honesty and more detailed explanation on the part of the scientists would help.
So despite the presentation, you're not feeling that you were getting an honest message from the scientists?
Yeah,
I think sorry.
Go on.
I think that's the problem to begin with. It's this entire scenario that we were going through shows that science has failed to communicate effectively what they believe so strongly
But
is
this
going
is what
on.
this was supposed to address,
Right,
exactly
but
that point.
obviously there's a communication failure, but some people did come away convinced from this
Yeah.
scenario.
I'm very much convinced. At first I was very half and half, and I stood here and I listened attentively to what everyone's saying, and I must admit I am convinced. I think everyone's saying, what can I do,
Yeah.
but there's an old African proverb which says only needs a little bit of grain of salt to make food taste good. So it doesn't matter it being in masses, about everyone doing what they can. Forget about others, do what you can do.
Okay, because that is the next question. I mean, if people are more persuaded, and I accept that not all of you are perhaps persuaded still, but if people are persuaded, how far will you go to actually try and make a difference? What kind of sacrifices would you make? For example, would you be happy to pay more for your heating, for your electricity? Would people be happy to do that?
I think we pay enough as tax. Everyone complains about taxes. Everybody complains about taxes. But if you've got a tax where you know it's benefiting us and the world, you'd pay it. I'd pay it willingly.
Yeah.
I'd pay it tomorrow.
But if the problem's carbon, you tax petrol. You tax coal at power stations. Push electricity price up. That's the problem.
There has to be a way, though, to make absolutely sure that that tax money is actually going towards something that's going to reduce greenhouse gases. And unfortunately, in this government, in this world, it's really hard to make sure that every dime of the tax money is going to be effectively used for
There's
that.
another trust issue here, you're saying. You're not sure you trust the politicians to actually do it properly.
Is the tax the actual solution, or should we be looking at bringing out, as they are now, more efficient vehicles and also insulating houses so that they are leaking less gases, and therefore you are saving on the CO2 which is being emitted into the global atmosphere? If you improve that, then surely it's going to solve the problem.
But so much of this tax that goes to developing countries.
Quick, very, very briefly, we've got to sum up.
I think before you start talking about taxing, you've got to decide where the component of this increased CO2 is and what is
And
actually
how you
causing
can
it.
target that best. I'm going to have to stop everyone there, because although I know that felt very short, we've actually run out of time. Thank you very much indeed, all taking part. I think we've shown that a clear exposition of the science can help, can persuade some people that the science is genuine and see why scientists believe it. Obviously, other people remain unconvinced. But thank you very much indeed for coming back, and back to you in the studio, Gavin.
Justin, thanks very much.